I am here at my hometown in Newark, Maryland, at home at my mom's house with nearly all my family. My guest is, of course, Therran Dennis. You know him. He's probably been one of the most popular episodes downloaded.
Hello.
And Chaudre Johnson, my nephew.
How you guys doing? My name is Chaudre. Just here for Christmas holidays, just chilling.
Hey y'all, it's Therran. I am stuffed. I am feeling really good. Got the fam around. It's been a lovely day so far. Got some hoops in with Dad. Dad, you want to say hi? You're in the background.
Yeah, I'm saying hi. Like some Merry Christmas. God bless everyone.
Is that Randy Dennis?
Yeah, that's my Uncle Randy. It's pretty much in this house, nearly everybody in this house has played a sport at one point. It doesn't matter. Nieces, nephews, sisters, brothers, and we got like 3 different generations of people here. But
We really do.
this episode,
Oh, you got
4.
some of these kids haven't even played sports and yet they're going to be playing.
I have.
My niece, Regina Welch, she's 10 years old and she plays tennis. So time flies. It is the holidays. This is a time of year where people get together with families if they can, and you try not to let the distance between you and family members separate you. So I think the holidays are a really good time of the year to do this. And we got everybody here. Someone's played a sport somewhere. Someone will be playing a sport in the future. My brother-in-law, Earl Holland, he is here. And my aunt, Helen Stallings.
Tennis player,
Basketball player. Our family played basketball, played baseball, played softball, played football, field hockey. Field hockey. Tennis.
that's wrong.
If golf is a sport, then field hockey is a sport. Field hockey.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Soccer, yeah. Sharice plays soccer too. She ran track and
And the
field.
boys, the twins, your little nephews is in practice for basketball right now. The twins, showing up.
You have everybody in the background, kids everywhere. Everyone's having a good time, eating food. And
This is radio.
my sister, Eureka Dennis, played softball. She is waving to the audience. That's her way of saying hello.
So you got some NBA games today. We're talking hoops on the way here.
And yeah, the thing is, I love the NBA. Growing up, the NBA was my favorite thing, and now I just don't miss it, and sometimes I don't even care for it. And it's sad, because I used to love it.
Well, do you believe because the players changed? I mean, because years ago you had Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, you had a lot of players that were so effective years ago. So you think the players are still strong today, the young boys?
You know, that's a good question. I don't think it's the players changing, because it was maybe like 5 years ago it was still interesting, and half of these guys are still here. I just think now it just seems like maybe the super team era where everybody changing teams wants to be buddy-buddy, doesn't want to face each other.
The game is just
want to compete.
I feel like it's always been super teams, but the rules are different. Especially the main thing, hand checking, I think is the most.
Yeah.
Some of these players, you got LeBron James, 6'8", 250 probably.
So like Carmelo size.
If you touch him, it's an automatic foul.
Those guys, they're very hard to guard. You got no hand check.
But the hand checking rule, they got rid of that like 20 years ago, because they used to hand check Jordan all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to make it seem like, oh, this generation is better than the past generation, because game changes. Like big guys are shooting 3-pointers now, and I'm used to that. If Shaq or Kareem were told to shoot 3-pointers, they probably would have learned it, but it wasn't a point at that time.
I honestly think Shaq's impact still, I feel like his game will not change in this era because how dominant he was.
He was a special kid.
He's special type of I feel like there are those players who don't have to change their
But
game
his
to this
foul
era,
shot,
but
you ever check Shaq's foul shot out? They had to work with him for years to learn how to shoot the foul shot, because he couldn't hold the ball with 2 hands. He always used to shoot it like this here.
Yeah.
You remember?
It was pre-Markel Fultz.
his shot was always very consistent in clutch moments.
There was that discussion where, you know, if it was an unimportant thing, he will make his free throws when it counted. But you think about it, a lot of the centers from 20 years ago, Ewing, Olajuwon, Zoe, they would need all these guys up now. Maybe not Embiid, but everybody else, there is no impact center anymore. Everybody's
It's really no true bigs anymore other than Embiid. Jokic is another guy who's kind of big, but other than that, most guys they don't really have that bulk to them. They mostly depend on the 3.
What about Hassan Whiteside?
Hassan Whiteside's pure, but every big man's working on a 3-pointer now. You look at Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol was a pure post. Brook Lopez, pure post. And now they're shooting deeper than Steph Curry some games. Brook Lopez, 5 years ago, you never thought would score 30 points off of straight 3-pointers.
True.
No post, nothing. Straight threes.
Seriously, the first thing came to mind is straight yuck. because he's supposed to be a rebounder, post presence, rim protector.
Yeah.
And now you see guys like Dwight Howard doing this stuff too, and it's like,
Serge Ibaka, another one. He's deep.
You know, I haven't seen him in the
he's hurt. He's had
butt soreness.
surgery. Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on with that too. There's a lot of other stuff, and I've never been a fan of Dwight Howard. He's never been one of my favorite players.
Really?
Yes. Maybe something about his personality rubbed me the wrong way. He seems like he never wants to take responsibility. No, because Shaq was goofy and smiling and all that stuff, and everybody loved him. Maybe it's the fact that he didn't take accountability for like that one finals they lost to the Lakers, where all of a sudden, like, Courtney Lee missed that shot and all this other stuff. And it just snowballed from there. And he might have been the reason that everybody started being anti-LeBron when LeBron didn't shake his hand.
The Dwight Howard, when he came to the NBA, he scored a lot of points. But you know what? When it comes for accountability, he couldn't take it.
I really think that
He couldn't
Lakers.
take it. You're right. I agree.
And then, of course, he drew Shaq's ire. Everybody loves Shaq. They'll side with Shaq before they'll side with anybody else. Only Shaq can make guys like JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard look like clowns
Yeah.
on a nightly basis when Shaq's in a fool.
As a Lakers fan, though, like that one season, Dwight Howard, I feel like we had so much high expectations that, he did average 18 and 12 with a shoulder injury that required surgery, but instead he kept playing for the season. So I do feel like we expected more, but there was a lot that he didn't do, like not run across, not run up and down the floor. But as far as production, stat-wise, his numbers were still the same for those years consistently before he was with.
South were playing with Kobe.
But yeah, Kobe made him look like Kwame Brown. He punked him out like he was Kwame Brown. He punked out Kwame Brown like Jordan punked out Kwame Brown. And when Dwight Howard is punked out like he's Kwame Brown, that was the beginning of the end. Then he went to Houston, and he was going to be the focal point, and then Harden comes.
He had some good runs in Houston, though.
Yeah, and then
clutched on that one playoffs was like 3 or 4 seasons ago. Was that the one where they stormed back to beat the Clippers? That team.
He reminded me of a Blake Griffin kind of like. Had a lot of athleticism, right? But like even Blake Griffin said it himself, later on in the years he had to learn how to actually play the game with moves and stuff because he used to rely on his athleticism to get the job done for him. And Dwight Howard, as big as he was, he averaged 20 and 10 there. But now the way the game is now, you need more than just being big. I feel like he stopped working on his game, honestly, over years.
And I want to
compare run the 1 and the 4. It seems like.
Look at someone like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Even back when he was a rookie in Milwaukee, and of course in college he was a guy dunking all the time and everything like that. But once he got into the league, he was a good post player. He was a good rebounder, great outlet passer. Used the skyhook a lot. Wasn't a full dunker all the time. He defined his game, and then as he got older and as other centers came in like Moses Malone and Robert Parrish, he had to put some weight on because he was a small guy. He was already like 250. He's 7'2".
Yeah.
And he had to put the weight on to deal with the wear and tear was going on in the post.
Shaq was another guy, but
Shaq's weight gain was something different.
yeah, but he also started getting triple teamed constantly. Like it gained a lot, multiple reasons. But I do personally, I feel like part of it was because he was
Best life.
because he used to do a lot of dribbles. He used to run the floor. He used to run the break.
All-Star game like 94.
Jordan.
He was playing point guard. He ran the length of the floor for the East and took it all the way coast to coast. And it's like, man, it's just, I understand sometimes where Kobe can say he felt like Shaq didn't play all the way up to his potential.
Oh, definitely, especially the way Kobe's a workhorse. I feel like Shaq was definitely more media popular too, even though Kobe was doing music videos and stuff like that. But Kobe was another guy who would still be out in the gym morning, day, working. But it was obvious after a while Shaq would become more focused, not fully on just all basketball.
And Therran, you wrote your blog post that you can find on the Sports Refuge about Kobe Bryant. He was your generation's Jordan.
He was.
And he basically tailored his game. You could listen, everything sound the same. Same frame, same height, same build. You listen to his interview, close your eyes, you hear Michael Jordan.
Mannerisms.
You hear Michael Jordan. And there's nothing wrong with that.
The cool thing is, like,
But I'll say this.
both.
Kobe cost the Lakers the NBA Finals against the Pistons. He wanted to play hero ball when Shaq couldn't be stopped by Detroit.
Well, that was the end of an era, though.
That was also the year where they were dealing with lots of injuries. Because Kobe was dealing with his rape charge on that year too.
They had a better team. I think the Lakers were more more talented, but the Pistons, I think they had a better game plan.
But
offensively, dude.
Yeah, because Larry Brown knows how to coach. They won't play him, and he
Couldn't do it with Philly. He didn't have the piece. He didn't have the pieces.
He had the piece, but no supplementary.
A piece.
He had the piece, but no supplementary help.
Yeah.
Everybody else was hurt. Everybody else, as previous guests that I had going out will say, there was no 2 to Iverson's 1. There was no 2.
Oh, yeah.
You had an age Mutombo who was just there for defense.
Aaron McKee.
You had Weber who his knee was bad by that time. Man, and I remember Chris Webber in Washington. Oh my God, that is the worst trade ever.
Yeah.
Him, Jawan Howard.
How long ago was that?
That was about 25 years ago.
Man.
Because I was 11 when he got traded to Washington from Golden State.
Man.
And then I was about 15 when he got traded to Sacramento.
It's a sack town.
Oh man, that was a year I just stopped watching them for a while, and it was bad enough that every team that I followed was bad. No, actually the Redskins were decent.
Speaking of the Skins,
man, screw that team. At this point, I am here. It is such a mess.
it was like you told me before. They'll somehow
DJ
backpedal their way. They were backpedaling their way into the playoffs.
Yeah,
now I don't know what's going on.
And then you heard about DJ Swearinger. He got cut.
Yeah.
What for?
Because he criticized the defensive coordinator to the media after the game against the Titans.
Yep, and they said they told him basically about keeping their stuff in private.
Which is, and the problem is, and that's the situation on the coach, because Jay Gruden allowed a whole bunch of other stuff to slip out. Swearinger kept talking the whole time about how the players, some of the young guys weren't playing to their potential, weren't practicing hard. The rest of the teams weren't practicing hard, things like that. And then when Gruden had an extra practice, I think it was maybe before the Titans game, people complained. No, it was the first Eagles game, or Giants game. They were complaining, and then they got the door blown off of them. At this point, and it's dumbing up because you can't cut them because now that's a cap penalty. And now you don't have any money because the trade you made for the quarterback who broke his leg and may not play again, $20 million in the cap for the next 2 years. And also, think about this.
You probably get cap on the real cheap by now.
Yeah, Josh Johnson for QB, I guess. But think about this. Look at New England. Look at Belichick, how he runs that. Nobody talks to the media after.
That's true, though.
And you know what? Not like that. Like I said, Belichick basically tells them, you use generic terms, I don't want to say tell them to use generic terms, but basically, you get bland quotes, nothing salacious.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah. And you know where he learned that? When he was in Cleveland. Because they were surrounded by the whole thing because word came out that the Browns were moving to Baltimore. And then he had to deal with all this crap about, how do you guys are focusing with the move, announcement of the move and this stuff. And if you ever watch, and this is for everybody out here, and you guys do it when you go on YouTube, look for Football Life Cleveland 95. There is an hour-long special where they talk about that, what's going on at that time, Belichick's staff, half of the guys who are GMs and coaches and stuff now, they were part of Belichick's staff. And they had to deal with the rumor of the team moving and all this other stuff. And they didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So that's when Belichick got this job after 2 times being named head coach of the New York Jets and never taking the job. When he got the job in New England, he basically becomes the hoodie who mumbles and talks about, we're on to Cincinnati next week. Yeah, that's how he do it. When a good coach learns. Jay Gruden is an awful coach because you didn't cut a guy who sent a DM about screw the fans, who also lied about it and said his cousin sent the message, and then fessed up to it. You let him stay. You got DJ Swearinger talking about how the defensive coordinator let a backup quarterback beat you. You cut him.
I mean, to be
and he
fair,
led the team in interceptions, and he led the team in passes defense.
So yeah, who's in the DM?
Mason Foster, the middle linebacker.
Oh, well, to be fair,
and he's slow. He gets beat by tight ends. And
probably half the team they were probably DMing that too, especially that somehow.
But his got caught, so that doesn't matter. But hey, guess what? And there's another thing. DJ Swearinger talked about how his teammates voted him as defensive captain, and Gruden overruled it and named Mason Foster, the same person who sent that DM later on in the season, named him captain. At this point,
franchise.
I can't cheer for these guys. I would say I hope they scorch earth like the Orioles and blow
It's something every year.
I hope as an Orioles fan, I hope the Redskins would just scorch earth and burn it down like the Orioles did, and the Orioles, we'll get to that a little bit later. But the fact is, the same owner is going to be in charge for probably another 20 years, barring some major health issue, and it's not like his kids are running the team, because probably somebody with some sense would have probably fixed this issue.
Right, that's right.
So that team's a mess, and if they backed their way in the playoffs, I would not have felt right cheering for them because they're a bunch of losers. I mean, the Reuben Foster thing, but if you're a GM and saying for years, hey, we're winning off the field, we're doing all this stuff, doing the community, bringing in Reuben Foster means you're not winning on the field anymore, or winning off the field either. And it's a mess. The one thing that would have made me suffer my ties with that team is if they moved their games to Virginia, because I wouldn't go to any of those games anymore because I'm not driving to the armpit of Virginia. Sorry, people who live in Virginia near Richmond. I'm not driving to the armpit of Virginia.
Nice.
Yeah,
There's good music there.
probably. I wouldn't drive there to go see a football game. No. I would rather take the Metro into RFK or whatever and go there. But I'm not going to drive and deal with all that crap. Yeah. It's not worth it for a team that isn't sometimes worth all the stress and dealing with it as a fan. The Orioles had a crappy season. Guess what? They decided time was up. Everybody tried to hedge their bets and think, let's go all in one last time, and it failed spectacularly. Things happen like that. You can't tell me. Like I said, you're a Red Sox fan, Chaudre.
Oh, yeah.
You know, look what happened with Bobby Valentine. They fired Terry Francona to put Bobby Valentine in. That team was basically a game away from the playoffs the year before, and then they finished in last place.
Yeah, I mean, and that's definitely constant with Red Sox coaches. We'll get rid of one just because one bad season, regardless of the past season. And just luckily, we somehow managed to have a great season with the rookie coach. I don't know. I mean, we also have a lot of good free agent pickups, a lot of good draft picks, and we got good players. I mean,
you just, I think Nathan Eovaldi signed a
resigned, the long man of that playoff series. So yeah, we were just talking about the Redskins at one point how dysfunctional they were, and then you look at sometimes management can be an issue, but then we use an example of the Red Sox, how that 1 year, 2012, when Bobby Valentine was the manager, they were a game away the year before from making the playoffs, and then they finished in last place. Then they fired him and they brought in Farrell, and then they turned around and won a World Series after that. So you never know what things can happen. I think a really good team, it all depends on what happens. As fans of particular teams in various sports, we see what happens when either leadership or management goes awry. You, Therran, being a Packers fan, me being a Redskins and Wizards fan, and Chaudre, you being a Colts fan, you've seen, and a Red Sox fan, you've seen them at.
49ers fan.
Oh yeah, and Eddie being a 49ers fan.
The past 2 years, man.
Eddie joining the conversation as well.
Jimmy G with his B knees. All of a sudden, Colin Kaepernick, we had a great season. We finished season 8-8, and after that, it was a bad 6 years for me.
They called for 7 years.
4 years.
I can't complain about my Red Sox, because we've been way more successful. My Colts, this is a good year.
You know what? He's looking at it, and he ain't got that neck beard. That's why. It is. The neck beard's going.
Sergeant Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, man. I was telling everybody.
Have you seen the Sergeant Andrew Luck Twitter? That they do like an old school Civil War thing. They gave him the sideburn. It's like, dearest mother, we have faced the Cowboys of Dallas. We ended up being triumphant. We had multiple rations and munitions remaining and stuff like that. And that's a very weird stuff, but people are doing it, and it's cool. They're having fun with it. But yeah, like I said, the Colts understand because they reportedly run a couple times because they hedged all their bets on a quarterback. Twice.
Yeah.
And what happens when they get hurt for the whole season? They suck. And then they just sort of it proves a point where you build your team around one player. This isn't the NBA where you can do that.
Yes.
It's not like the Lakers who can get LeBron and all of a sudden they're actually relevant again.
And we never really had a strong offense and defense at the same time. Because that's the reason we never could beat New England. Yeah, we might could score with them, but
they're great up there.
Yeah, they're great, but also, we could score, but the defense was never there. LeGarrette Blount single-handedly beat us ourselves off the running game. So if you can't out the running game, and the passing game is already there.
And I look at it, Baltimore has punched New England in the mouth twice in New England, and Baltimore can do it even with their inconsistent quarterback.
Baltimore, because
Yeah, with Flacco, right?
if you have a defense, I feel like the defense can make up for the offense. The defense definitely can make up for the offensive mistakes, and the Colts don't have a defense to make up for offensive mistakes.
The hottest team in the NFL right now, I'm not saying the Saints. The Saints, they are great on offense. They're just terrible. The Saints are the AFC Kansas City Chiefs. They should have the cheese in there. Defense is terrible. Offense is great, but guess what? You have to score more than them. Now, if the Chiefs lose this weekend and New England wins, guess what? Nobody's going to New England. No one's going to Foxborough and beat them. New England is going to the Super Bowl.
You don't think Baltimore could go in there and beat them?
No.
Baltimore,
You don't think so?
I think Baltimore could.
Baltimore, better defense.
That defense, man.
And like I said,
even
if Baltimore gets one of the
he's still
Lamar Jackson, if they tailor an offensive game against Lamar Jackson that New England can't beat,
Yeah, that's what it is, really. I think they could do to New England what Kaepernick did to us years ago.
Defense ain't had to do with it. Guess what? Who got experience? Baltimore's a young team. New England, guess what? When it comes to playoff time, it's crunch time. And guess what? They will. Playoff and regular season are two different monsters. Guess what? When playoff comes, Bill Belichick brings defense. He's going to bring a scheme that's going to fool Lamar Jackson. I guarantee it.
this is probably the time the Ravens should sign Eli Manning.
This is true.
If the Ravens sign Eli Manning, they won't be in perfect home will find a way to beat New England because he beats New England.
Hey, Ravens still got John Harbaugh, and it's not too sizzled.
But if New
And don't
England,
forget about Terrell Suggs, still pretty
regardless, New England's going to have a playoff game on.
Yeah.
They're number 6 seed anyway. So whoever they face, they'll face the second highest, lowest seed, whatever. Because you need Dallas.
Tell them we're going to get a shooter there.
No, you need. Well, technically,
You need Dallas. You need Dallas. You need
Philly has to
Dallas can't really.
technically, actually, you need Minnesota to lose. Minnesota
you need
loses. Minnesota loses, and Kirk Cousins might crap the bet on the final game because he does that all the time.
I'm like Seattle.
Somebody say Mike, dude. Sleep
Who did the Vikings play this weekend?
Yeah, Rams, right?
It's San Francisco.
Oh, really?
I thought the Rams were
Seattle or
They don't sleep in both of those days.
I don't know. Like I said,
I kind of tuned out about 3 weeks ago after we lost to the Cardinals.
I tuned out definitely after Saturday. I was like, screw those guys.
But you're still kind of in it.
No, they're done. They're done. All they can do is play spoiler to the Eagles, and if the Eagles lose, they don't deserve to be playoffs because they basically have a team in turmoil that's
Skins can finish 500. Right now? I mean, you don't suck.
That was the job.
everything that's going on. I don't care about them right now. Like I said, I don't care about them right now. They come ill prepared. They come ill prepared on big games. They have all this dysfunction. Nobody wants to take accountability. Their coach is ill prepared. At this point, I don't care about the rest of it. It's a mess. And I've never felt this badly about this team ever. And like I said, they don't even my number one team. I should have caught the foreskin.
I never forget one day we was heading to Pizza Hut, right? He was listening to the Redskins game on the radio, right? All they needed was the field goal for the win.
That's right.
Or it was an extra point for it just needed a field goal for the win for the 3. Flash the pass, overthrew the guy's head and they lost the game.
Basically,
And it was like 10-yarder.
So I feel good about San Francisco. I feel good about San Francisco going to next season. I told people at work, I said, what if the quarterback of the future really wasn't to be Nick Mullins is playing lights out. He's playing lights out in the past.
Well, you'll never know because the
hard guy. Oh, Beathard, that's right. Beathard, not
But yeah,
he got hurt too.
I think we're pretty good. Because we had Nick Mullins and we got Jimmy G come back. Our team is going to be next year, maybe 10-6, 11-5. We're going to have a very favorable schedule next year.
That is true.
We've been talking about NBA, we've been talking about NFL, we talked a little bit about baseball. It being the holiday season, I'm not going to ask you guys what you're thankful for because that's not the right holiday. So, as you guys being sports fans, what are your expectations for the new year for some of your teams in 2019? So Andre, we'll start with you.
Where to begin?
So I'm gonna talk about these Lakers. So I do not think that we should trade for Anthony Davis. I feel like we were giving up way too much for Anthony Davis. Don't get me wrong, Anthony Davis is a Hall of Fame player. But they're gonna want at least Kuzma, Lonzo, probably want Caldwell Pope, or they're probably want Josh Hart. We can keep all of them. We have a solid team around LeBron who just needs experience. But I mean, I also understand where if you can get Anthony Davis, you could get people to come, but that's going to be a high ass salary. Realistically,
I don't think
LeBron can never win a championship.
I don't think we have a chance to win in that division this year. No, that's awful. I do not think we should, because he's
a chemistry killer and he's a ball stopper. And that's great if you're on defense, but that ain't great if you're on offense.
Yeah, because as soon as you get to look, you can have a solid offense passing. As soon as it gets to Melo, it's that mentality.
And he's not the star he was 10 years ago.
He's not a power forward.
I think
They haven't run power forward. He's always played small forward, and he's always switched on the shooting guard. Meanwhile, like when they was all in the playoffs, he was always guarding Kobe, a shooting guard.
Team actually look out for me. Be in LA with Clippers.
Clippers are solid.
Very
Rivers.
They said that.
I
I don't know if you read the report.
Said, see, Austin, this is what I do without
Kawhi
you.
Leonard, they said that the owner will always go to the game with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard.
But I'm sorry. I feel like as long as KD stays with Golden State,
What is these boys?
Fellas, have a good night. I gotta go home.
Merry Christmas.